You are listening to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all the latest news, Overwatch League results, and mishaps in Overwatch. Here are your hosts, Totemly Drunk and Edinar.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch. I am your host, Totemly Drunk, and tonight on episode 178, we'll let you know what's been going down over the last week, both in Overwatch and Overwatch Esports. We will take a look at some of the hotter community topics from this past week, reflect on everything that went down in the Overwatch League playoffs week 2 as we ramp up to the grand finals, and so much more. But before we can get into the news and introduce you to my co-host, let me quickly just take a moment and to thank everyone who has joined us tonight over on Twitch for our live show, and of course thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Edinar. And Ed, you know, it's kind of been a somber week. We wrapped up OWL by the numbers last night, at least for the 2019 season, as there's only one more event in regards to Fantasy OWL this year. But, you know, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I know there's some new Blizzard stuff out that you've been dabbling in. So how's the past week been for you?
It's been pretty good. You know, football season's well underway. We had some, we'll call them matches this weekend. We'll go with that. We had some matches in the Overwatch League playoffs, so that was always nice to see. You know, Hearthstone released the new PvE adventure, which has been a lot of fun. They've really stepped up the PvE aspect of Hearthstone, which is something I never thought they'd actually do, but they did it anyway. You do have to purchase the PvE for money or in-game gold. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and then, you know, starting to get prepared, like you said, yesterday was our last episode of OWL by the numbers for the year. We probably could have done one this next week, but I threw something onto the, like, I can't be there next week, so I think we just decided to scrap that idea. So we'll be back in 2020. Going to DC this weekend, so lots of packing, lots of getting stuff ready, all that fun hoopla. How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. I, too, am going to be busy this weekend. I will be going to the drive-in for Dusk to Dawn, so they're showing The Exorcist, Cursine, Night of the Creeps, and Zombie. So that should be a good time. So I'll be running, like, all night. This will be a long day. I needed to, like, RO the next day, because I don't want to be, you know, out till, like, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then have to open. Because, yeah, no one wants to do that. But, you know, I'm pretty happy with how fantasy football has started. It's been kind of a rough go in regards to QBs across the league. Outside of, like, a couple of names. So that's been kind of, like, throwing darts blindly. So luckily, the rest of my team has been holding down for the most part. So I'm at least 2-0 with the auto draft team. Whether or not, you know, I'll be able to extend that undefeated streak that much longer remains to be seen, but I'm keeping a close eye on it. But, you know, the first waiver I tried to put in, I got outbid, so that was unfortunate. So we'll see what other moves I will be able to make, since we do have the, like, $100 for the auction, basically, for the entirety of the year for the waiver wire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't actually put in for anybody this week. No one really stood out to me that I have a weakness in.
Right.
So, I'm content.
Yeah, and speaking of content, you know, we have a ton of content actually in Overwatch this week. Actually, more, like, Overwatch news than esports news, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, normally it's always the other way around. Week after week. Not this week, guys. It's actually a little bit different. So for starters, just as a reminder, patch 1.40 has hit live servers, so if you haven't updated your client yet, be sure to do so. So in regards to this patch in particular, this is a smaller update. I know you and I talked about it a couple weeks ago as it had hit on the public test ROM, so just a quick overview and reminder of what happened in regards to the balance updates for this. They made a change to ground-targeted abilities like May's Icefall, as well as Symmetra's Teleport. So it's going to favor edges over areas that are at max distance. Now, more on that, because that hasn't really been working as intended based on certain locations in the world, so there's been a couple of issues, like with most new patches, but some of these are actually pretty big bugs that have been spotted with the new patch. So outside of that, we got Bastion with the self-repair no longer consuming a resource whenever Bastion is trying to heal at full health. There's also the 0.25 seconds of recovery time after you try to cancel Bastion self-repair by firing your weapon. And then, of course, we got the big change, which was for the beam damage, both for Symmetra and also Zarya that got decreased. So, Sim fully charged isn't going to be doing as much damage. That's like a 15 DPS differential at level 3. And then the max damage for Zarya's primary fire was lowered by 20. Now, Ed, we've kind of seen, over the course of the last few weeks, Symmetra becoming more and more popular, pretty much from gold all the way up. How do you feel like the beam damage change is going to affect her popularity in these ranks? Do you think we're going to see, like, a drastic cutoff at this point, or is she still going to be pretty prominent at, like, the lower ends here?
I still think she'll be pretty prevalent at the lower ends because the same skill does not apply to both the lower ends to the higher ends. And when you take away that much damage that a Symmetra can be doing against double shield, then, you're definitely going to see less of it on the high end. Soldier doing 1 damage less per bullet was able to completely knock him out of the meta on the high end. And I think that's probably a less drastic nerf than this. So, yeah, like, I don't think we're really going to see Symmetra at the higher levels anymore. Outside of the cheeky shenanigans that you sometimes see, like with the teleporter, which may or may not work anymore. But, it's one of those things where Symmetra, if you're good at... Like, here's the problem. If you're really good at Symmetra, you're probably going to climb rather quickly to the point where Symmetra is not being played. And then you fall back down a little. And then you hit that sweet spot of, I can't climb anymore because I'm playing Symmetra, but I'm not going to drop that much lower. So I think this is really going to affect her. And you know what? I also think it's going to affect Zarya. I think Zarya definitely, gets affected by this. So, becomes less of a DPS. Like, I think Zarya might be in line for the next big overhaul. Because she's really only been relevant in GOATs and nothing else. And that's for like the entirety of the game. So I think she could definitely get some love in here shortly. So don't expect a whole lot in the next month, but keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, I'm not expecting like huge drop off of Zarya though, primarily since we still are seeing the double barrier of Sigma paired with Orisa at this point. And speaking of Sigma, there are a number of changes to his kit as well. So in regards to the experimental barrier, there is now a toggle option for you to deploy it. That is a very welcome quality of life change. I will 100% be using that from this day forward, since I constantly forget to stop or use it. So there is
100%. That's my biggest issue with Sigma is the shield. Like crap, I gotta bring it back. Crap, I gotta bring it back in. Yep.
Absolutely.
Horrible about that.
So I'm happy about that one. Outside of that, Somber's hack will now recall the barrier as long as it is deployed. So, EMP isn't really affected by this because it, will just destroy the shield outright anyway. So the accretion explosion damage actually saw a buff going from 50 damage to 60 damage. The initial cast time for Gravitic Flux, that being his ultimate ability, was increased from 0.4 seconds to 0.6 seconds. So, I don't think this is really to see any fall off, especially when you factor in one of the issues with the patch in regards to Mei, not being able to hit certain locations. So the experimental barrier is still going to be blocking off specific sniper spots in the game, but outside of that, I know there were also a couple of workshop mode options that were added as well to add dummy bots. They had 2 position beam effects added, which would be kind of interesting. I don't know how exactly that's gonna work, but a few other things. But across the board, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Sombra will be more of a soft counter to Sigma at this point. But a lot of it still boils down to you need to be able to infiltrate the backline in order to get in position to get the hack off in the first place.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I don't see this getting rid of Sigma unless for some reason we just don't realize that this is a very drastic and dramatic buff to Sombra. By being able to do this.
It's probably a bigger hit to the overall damage just because you're not relying as much on your hyperspheres. So maybe we'll start to see the ult charge for Sigma slow down a little bit just because you're not dealing as much damage in the long run since you're doing 5 less per spear.
Yeah, but I think another big thing is there's the hack. If you're hacked, you lose that double shield, which is vital to your team. So I don't know. I think that's the only way that Sigma gets knocked out is if this change really just brings in the hack fist meta, and I don't think it's likely, but they're just kind of fine tuning.
I mean, either way, Doomfist is going to be punching through the barriers.
Yes, punching through the barrier, but then I don't. It could have a trickle-down effect. I'm not saying it's likely, but it could. Because then if you lose Sigma's shield, that say Sombra takes out Sigma, then why do you need to play Sombra anymore? And then they bring in somebody else, and it's a revolving door of shenanery. Shenanery. It's a real word. Look it up. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we use it here quite often on the network.
Yes.
So, like most patches, we did see some trickle-down effects in regards to bugs that kind of arose with this. And honestly, there's probably more in this one than prior patches that we know of. So for starters, this is probably top 3 bugs for me. Because I am not a fan of this map, as are a lot of people out there. So yes, things are not running smoothly across the board due to the release of patch 1.40, and a bug was discovered on the assault map Paris, which has been disabled temporarily in the game. So basically what's been going on is the bug has allowed players to shoot through spawn doors in the game. So, if you're on defense, fantastic. You can take advantage of that. Whoever's in spawn will be taking damage. So, you can get some early ult charge, all of that good stuff. And, this was the one bug that I have seen that has been universally embraced by the community just due to their disdain of the map due to the tight choke points on Paris.
It's the only way this map is playable. Or not playable in this instance. I don't know. Maybe they just decide not to fix the bugs. And just permanently... This is their way of removing Paris from the game.
The first map retired. Because it was
we couldn't fix the bug. We just decided to never bring it back. Because it's the worst map of all time.
I'm sure everyone would be happy about that if that were the case.
Not a single person. In 6 months, we'd be like, oh yeah, Paris was a map. Forgot about that. So,
So along with that, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, this isn't the first time you've been able to shoot through the spawn door, though.
No.
I think this has happened previously. Or wasn't there one time where Reaper could teleport into the spawn like into the spawn room, something like that. I remember vaguely that happening. And I'm like, oh, that would have been glorious.
I honestly don't know, because we have bugs every patch. It's really hard to keep track with them. But for me, the top bug in Overwatch all time was when we would get the Frankenstein characters during the victory screen. So everyone with the, like, Stretcher Armstrongs. That to me, nothing is going to be able to top that for me, personally.
I forgot about that, when, like, they had, like, Stretch Armstrong legs. You're just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, everyone was just elastic, and it was absolutely fantastic. So not only is Paris bugged and disabled in the game, but there's been a number of other bugs, some a little bit more major than others. So for starters, Mei Ice Block has actually been blocking the line of sight of players. Bastion's footsteps are able to be heard when he is reloaded, which, you know, could tip off where your positioning is. There's some control point texts which are inaccurate on some of the maps, but one of the bigger issues revolves around one of the changes with patch 1.4 in regards to the ground ability. So that would be like teleport, Reaper's teleport, whatever the heck it is. I can't remember. Shadow Step. Yeah, that's as well as, you know, the Mei Ice Wall. So basically what's been happening is there have been just a number of inconsistencies when you're trying to place these abilities, which are making it impossible to actually place in certain spots. So, like, one of the primary ones that has been pretty notable is, like, the top window for King's Row attackers that they spawn out of. Normally, a lot of snipers like to go up there. Mei is not able to put her ice wall up there because, you know, the placement indicator is just all sporadic. It doesn't stay still. You can't place it up there. So it keeps, like, just dropping down, and it's very shaky. But luckily, you know, Sigma is a thing, so, you know, you could still just throw the experimental barrier up there to block it off so you don't have to deal with it. But I know there's a number of other instances throughout different maps that are pretty common for, like, ice wall locations that are also having the same issue. So there's not been any sort of, like, timetable in regards to this bug, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. You might not get the full use out of certain abilities, so I would urge people not to prioritize high ground locations with this, because that's where a bulk of the issues with this bug are happening.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing it mainly with Mei. Less so just because of the range of, like, Reaper's Shadow Step or Symmetra's Teleport. It has a smaller range than the Ice Wall. We're just seeing, you know, more and more issues with the Mei wall. So, you know, less Mei, always a good thing. She's the devil. I'm okay with keeping this bug in there. I'm okay with all the bugs that they've shown. Like, bug that keeps Paris out of the game, Mei being less effective in the game. I see no downfalls to this. But it will get fixed. It's just a matter of time. So.
And then you have all the Mei players out there who are just tweeting literally unplayable.
Mm-hmm. Although, if you're tweeting as a Mei player, your life is unplayable because you're the devil. Just saying. I hate Mei players. I hate you all.
Mm-hmm.
No exceptions.
So outside of that, there were a couple of other changes that were found here recently, revolving around two heroes and their ultimate abilities. So the heroes we're looking at are Torbjorn and Mercy. So Torbjorn with his Molten Core, that was previously dealing 130 damage per second to unarmored targets and 190 to armored targets. Now Molten Core is hitting armored targets for 250 DPS, so that's a pretty substantial differential there. That's plus 60, assuming my math adds up, which it does. And for Mercy, you know, this has been something that's, I mean, they were looking into it. It looks like it's been in the game for a while now, but it was never posted in any of the patch notes here. So with her Valkyrie, the way that it worked prior was you would gain ult charge equal to 30% of the teammates' like damage, regardless of how that happens. And with her Valk, her damage beam or even her healing one, it likes to break into 3 parts. So you're actually getting 30% of the overall damage from all of the targets. Now that has not been the case. So now you're only gaining the ult charge when you amplify like the one target. So like whoever your primary target is who you're going to be getting the damage. So like let's say it's spread on multiple people, you're not going to be getting the benefit of the ult charge from all 3. It will just be a singular target. So the ult charge would be equal to 130% of the damage she amplifies, which also happens to be equal to 30% of the total damage. So I haven't played Mercy in a while, so I haven't really noticed this. And right now, I mean, we're still primarily seeing Mercy in situations with Pharah. Not too much outside of that, because even in like the El Presidente, when they're doing Protect the Bastion, it's primarily Baptiste being used for like the main support role in that situation. So I don't know like how long it's been there, but it could have been something like going as far back to when they initially had changed Valk. Like this could have been in the game for quite some time, and people are just now starting to realize it. So who knows how long it's been? But for Torb, the more damage to armor targets is actually pretty big still when you consider there still are armor tanks that are still meta prevalent at this point.
Yeah, it's they're both the changes that I don't think truly affect if they'll be played or not. I don't think this is a big enough nerf to Mercy that she becomes unplayable. You gain less ultimate charge while you're ulting, and that's it. So, not a huge deal there, I don't think. The Torbjorn change, that's a nice change of pace. He's still not really that playable, and his ultimate is still pretty weak. Overall.
It'll be great for quick play classic.
Yes, it will be great for that. But I don't it's still a super weak ultimate because it didn't buff the damage to unarmored characters, so
right.
It's just armored characters, and once you do that, you start hitting a lot fewer people, and there's with no Baguette or Zarya really out there putting armor. I guess Lucio, but there's less armor flying around. That it's not as effective, but does make it a little better.
So not only do we have that, but we have a new promotion going on right now. So there's been a lot of collabs here recently. It's been pretty common. The new one is Bastion's Brick Challenge. So for the event, you can earn a new legendary Bastion skin by winning Overwatch games, and then you're also doing partnered streamers. So you're going to be able to earn additional cosmetics by watching these streams, and this will be going through September 30th. So in regards to sprays, there are 7 exclusive character sprays in all, which feature Overwatch heroes turned into LEGO figures. So in order to earn the rewards, all you need to do is make sure that your Blizzard account is linked with their Twitch account, which at this point, I don't know why it wouldn't be. So every 2 hours you will unlock new sprays, so you unlock sprays at 2, 4, and 6 hours. Now, in regards to the skin you get is legendary quality. It is a legendary LEGO skin for Bastion. So his primary colors have kind of been swapped around to yellow, blue, and red. Ganymede also got the LEGO treatment for the skin as well, so in order to get the skin, you need to win 9 games, either in quick play, competitive, or arcade mode, and you'll unlock some player icons as well for Bastion and Ganymede after you get, your first 3 wins for the week, and then, or for the event, I should say. And then I know there's a Pharah and Mercy spray awarded at 6 wins with the skin, getting awarded at 9. Now, I will say, I'm not too surprised by this one. Obviously, they've been doing a ton of stuff with Overwatch and LEGO. Makes sense for them to have an Overwatch LEGO skin at this point. Still waiting for Overwatch Lego the game, on the other hand, so who knows whether or not we'll actually get that. So you know, it's kind of a combination of both, but not really. But you know, it's been a busy week with bricks in general and Overwatch, because I know someone even had created Rialto in like Minecraft that I saw as well, which took I don't know how many hours. I can only imagine that would have taken like probably 90 hours or something crazy.
I don't get the whole Minecraft thing. I'll say that right now, but that's a different issue. Yeah, like this. I mean, this is pretty cool. I don't think we're gonna get Lego Overwatch. Sorry, people, we're not gonna get Lego Overwatch.
The game.
The game.
We'll get more Lego Overwatch.
Yeah, we'll get more Overwatch Lego building type stuff. But yeah, no, this is a really cool skin. I actually really liked it. My favorite part is when he's firing, he shoots out little red Legos as the bullets. I thought that was a nice little touch. You know, it's a good Bastion skin. It's probably my favorite of the 3 giveaway skins. Oh no, 4 giveaway skins that they've done. They've done one for D.Va, Ana, Reinhardt, and Bastion.
They've done 2 for D.Va.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Officer D.Va.
Wasn't Officer D.Va through Heroes of the Storm?
That still counts. And the Nano.
Yeah, no. I'm not counting. I'm not counting having to play 9 matches or whatever in a different game. But yeah, this was a good one. I like it. I've not many days to actually get this, so I'm gonna have to get on this when I get back from DC and get it rather quickly. So, you know, looking forward to it. Keep it coming. I like these little random legendary event type stuff like this.
Yeah, like I like how we've gone from like the crap, I can't remember, the Rock'em Sock'em like emote where like you're like knocking someone's block off. So now, like whenever you tell someone like, "Hey, I'm gonna knock your blocks off," you can literally do that. Does he like disintegrate like when you kill him with this?
Probably
break apart the pieces, because I feel like that should definitely be a thing. And then if you were to like run over said pieces, you know, as he's respawning, that there would be like some audio cue, because that would be pretty painful.
That is right. Like that can
needs to be
Bastion's ult with this skin on is he just explodes at like the choke.
It's deconstruct.
Yeah, it's kind of like some crappy molten core. Just changing ultimates in the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, make sure Bastion dies at the choke point, so they all have to step on it and then they move slower. It's like a snare effect.
Mm-hmm.
Changing ultimates.
Yeah, this is why Blizzard needs to hire us.
Right? We think of this stuff. We're like, no. This would be great. Just redo the programming for your entire game.
I mean, we already have we already have like a voice line that says "damn" for one of the Shimada brothers. So like that would fit in perfectly with this, because everyone knows how painful it is to step on Legos.
Oh God, Legos should be banned from anyone under the age of like 10 playing with them. If you can't clean up afterwards with Legos, you should never be allowed to play with Legos in your life. Just saying. If you give Legos to like your 3-year-old, 4-year-old to play with, you're the spawn of Satan.
My favorite is whenever my younger nephew gets like some of the bigger builds, and then I'm like, oh great, now I know I have to do this.
You're like, oh, this is too complicated. Dang it! All right, I'm coming.
And then you get like 3/4 of the way through the build, and then you realize, crap, I forgot to do something like 10 pages ago. Then you have to deconstruct it.
There's one piece missing, and it's connector for 5 different spots, and you just smash the whole thing and start over. Because you can't just like take it apart slowly. No, you get frustrated and you smash it.
Especially with some of the smaller pieces. And then you're also fighting those to get them unstuck.
Exactly.
And then you're just like, my hands are just too big for this.
Right? And then you just chuck it against the wall and hope it breaks apart. Not saying I've done that either.
You know what the best part about this is? Everyone knows the frustration.
Right? Like, when those two small pieces are so stuck together and you can't, your fingers hurt so much and you can't pry them apart. And then you get desperate and then you go get, like, some sharp object to try and pry them apart.
And then you end up stabbing yourself? Yeah.
Right? Like, you're just like, alright, I need 3 stitches. Totally worth it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Legos can definitely be a pain in the ass.
If you sit on them,
Yeah.
boom.
Literally a pain in the ass. So outside of that, let's go ahead and talk about something that the community has been talking about in regards to the Open Division. I don't know if you've been following the drama here, Ed, but so they announced a new season for Open Division, which of course is a step down from Overwatch Contenders in regards to the Path to Pro. So basically what they've done is Overwatch Division is returning for a new season. A practice season, which is going to offer exclusive prizes for participants. And I will tell you, the T3 community for Overwatch is not happy about this. So, basically in the past, we have seen Open Division feeding into Contender, so some of the top performers will be able to advance in the Path to Pro to compete in Contenders, through trials. And that is not the case for this season, and a lot of that was due to the fact that they shuffled Contenders to be in 2 seasons, and, there's no Contender season right now, since, the next big thing outside of BlizzCon and the Overwatch World Cup is, of course, the Gauntlet, which we'll get into here in a couple of weeks, but basically the rewards that you get, so the exclusive prizes, are going to be given out to players who remain on a team roster throughout the entirety of the season, and you'll earn a Path to Pro player icon and a Path to Pro player spray featuring Tracer and Genji, who, look all cutesy. Not really much going on there. Outside of that, nothing. There's no prize pool in regards to the practice season. Not that the players would get paid on time anyway. So I guess that's something. Like, they don't have to worry about the stress of that. But it's the fact that there's really no drive to participate in this is one of the primary things. So even having like any sort of prize pool would be a huge thing. But then you have things like Rivalcade going on at the end of the month that has like a $5,000 prize pool. So teams are better off signing up for a Tier 3 event than actually going through the Path to Pro in this instance. And on top of that, one of the other big things was the fact that this practice season actually coincides through BlizzCon weekend. So there are instances where you have players from Tier 2, from Tier 3 that are participating in the World Cup this year. And having the practice season here means that they can't do both. So it's either one or the other. So that rules out some participation regardless. But it's just a culmination of all of these things, and the community is pretty upset about it. But, like, I understand, like, I know the reason behind it not feeding into the next season, because obviously we'll have another season of Open Division before Contender starts up in 2020. But just being like, oh, here's a couple of cosmetics, have at it, is not very much incentive at all for these players.
Right? Like, I just want one person at, like, the World Cup to be interviewed and be like, we gave up a lot to come here. I'm not going to get my cute spray for playing in the Open Division.
Especially if it was a country that had to, go fund in order to make it to BlizzCon because they weren't one of the top 10 ranked countries, so they had to pay for their own flight out to LA.
Right. Like, why are they not even giving them BlizzBucks? Like, at least do that. It's not like you're giving them cash. It's Blizzard Bucks. They can only use it at your company. Like, I don't get this. This is stupid. I get why everyone's up in arms about this. It's just, there's no point in this. Like, it's a slap in the face. Like, we want you guys to work and, you know, play well to get to that next step. We're going to organize this practice season. We're going to do all this, but all of that, what you're doing, is worth a spray. All right.
Yeah.
But only if you play the entire time, not if you go play the World Cup or any other Blizzard sanctioned events. Only if you stay there the whole time. Like, it's just stupid. I mean, do you expect them to change it? Or is it just too late to do that?
Well, here's the thing. Like, we've seen the treatment of T2 and T3. I don't expect any change. Just because of how continued issues have been with that aspect of Overwatch.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't expect a change. At least for this practice season. The next one, before, like, because you said there's going to be another one after this.
Oh, there's going to be, like, the official Open Division season.
Yeah, that I expect them to have more than just a spray. Sorry, a spray and an icon.
I don't think they're going to do cosmetics. It will just be the BlizzBucks at that point. Well, maybe they'll award even more BlizzBucks then for the Season 1 of 2020.
And, like, they're going to give this to, like, the practice season. What about, you know, the actual players? Do they get the spray and whatnot, too? I feel they should get it, too. Because it's like an esports spray. This is your esports league. Give it to them as well. But, you know, maybe that will make the people who stuck around the Open Division feel that much more special about themselves.
Yeah, if there's only a way to, like, pull together money for a prize pool with, like, Matcherino or something, just to throw these players a bone.
Yeah, it's weird how stuff like that doesn't exist on the internet.
Yeah. Almost as if, like, we, at one point, didn't use that in competitive Overwatch in the early days for the weeklies and the monthlies for, like, Alienware and Rivalcade and some of these other events.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Like, that's just a mystery to me. Fake news. 100% fake news.
Well, you know what? That's not going to be the only esports cosmetics that we'll be able to earn. But at least this one doesn't involve us participating in an Open Division for a practice season and then having to miss BlizzCon because we have a game. The next one revolves around the Overwatch League Grand Finals. And of course, you know, Overwatch League is wanting you to make sure that you're watching. For obvious reasons. You know, viewership has been, good, but not great. At least with the live, like, watching live, but, you know, outside of that, VODs and all that stuff, the AMA or whatever metric it was, has been fantastic throughout the year. But we are going to earn cosmetics by watching the Grand Finals this year, so they got 2 sprays and an icon as the awards based on the time you spend watching the broadcast. So for this, you will need to watch at least 3 hours to unlock all of the rewards. So there is a Wrecking Ball Watch Party spray, which you get for watching 1 hour. The 2-hour one is a Grand Finals trophy icon, with the 3-hour award being a Payload Watch Party spray. So in regards to the Grand Finals, that is on September 29th. That will start off at noon Pacific time. And in order to earn these rewards, again, just, you know, make sure that you are viewing the finals in a way that Blizzard can actually recognize, so whether that's via the Overwatch League website, you know, the in-game client, will also work as well as just watching on Twitch. So be sure to tune in for that. And we also have some more Grand Finals news, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But, I'm happy to see, we're actually, they're giving you a reason to tune in. Yes, it's just a spray, but, it offers people a reason to tune in outside of having a fantastic Grand Finals, which we'll obviously get into, because, we actually got 2 pretty good teams in the finals.
Got 2 decent teams. They're okay at the game of Overwatch. This is cool. This is something to generate more views for the Grand Finals. Especially with it being a Grand Finals or a finals, not with other major events going on around it. So, this is good. I'm still gonna have it. I'm not gonna watch the Grand Finals on Twitch.
Right. I mean, you'll have it up.
I'll have it up on my computer.
Source.
Yeah, I'll have it up on my computer with the monitor probably turned off. And then I'll have it on ESPN on my TV. Because now I have ESPN Plus. So I get all of the matches on that. So it is way nicer to watch it on my giant TV over my computer monitor. But I can't miss out on those Overwatch League tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because it'll be the last time of the year you can get them.
Exactly. So, this is pretty cool. 3 more sprays that I won't use, but it's collection. It's a collection thing. You just want to get them all.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy these ones.
Yeah, don't have to buy them.
Don't have to participate in a practice season.
Right. We should join the practice season.
No.
Anyone's available to join? We just stick with it for the entire time, and then we're we got these exclusive sprays, and we're in gold. No?
I don't think I could put myself through that.
Fine.
Unless Blizzard was actually paying me.
Master plan out the window. Thanks, Totem.
Yeah, you're welcome. So not only, are you going to get 2 watch party sprays and a Grand Finals trophy icon, but actually announce a musical guest for the Grand Finals who will actually go on before the Grand Finals. At least the match actually happens, so, no halftime show or anything like that. So they have signed on Grammy-winning songwriter and DJ Zed for the Grand Finals. So, Zed right now, I know he's been currently touring North America. He also happens to be a pretty big fan of Overwatch. I don't think we could have said that last year with their choice. But leading up to the announcement, I know there were a lot of Twitter handles sending out cryptic tweets, sending out lyrics from some of Zed's bigger songs. And this is someone that's been playing Overwatch for a while. I know he had hit Grandmaster rank in competitive last year. He also got some screen time during the World Cup. And of course, he, along with everyone else, predicted that South Korea was going to win, and sure enough, that happened. So, it's not like it was a 400 IQ prediction or anything like that. But, the whole musical performance last year was definitely one of the bigger memes out of esports as a whole, not just for Overwatch League. I'm at least glad that I feel like it's going to be less of an issue this year, because at least it's someone that's more relatable than DJ Khaled. But at the end of the day, you and I were talking a little bit about this last night. You have a primary issue with this, in regards to bringing on another DJ.
Yeah, so my main issue is you're not bringing on the singers of the song. So, with DJ Khaled last year, yes, he has a lot of songs out there, but he has a lot of songs with, Rihanna or Justin Bieber or whoever as, the main vocals. Zed flat out doesn't sing, and he gets other people to sing the songs. I know he has songs with Katy Perry and Ariana Grande. You're bringing out artists to play music, just basically to play music over the loudspeaker. That in a smaller atmosphere, in a non, like, there's a difference between going to probably like a Zed concert and going to like a quick 10-15 minute Zed concert that he puts on in front of an esports crowd.
Here's what I want to see. Like, this is a perfect way to go about doing this. You know, Zed kind of hinted that he was gonna dress the part. The best thing that they can do in this situation is have Zed come out and perform as Lucio, because Lucio does have his own album, and to remix some of those songs and play that. Like, that is the only thing that makes sense to me, rather than him coming out and actually playing, like, Clarity, or The Middle, or the Zelda 8-bit theme that I linked on Discord, which probably won't ever happen, because that's Nintendo and not Overwatch.
Yeah, it's just... I like Zed. I listen to Zed. It's just... It's not... Think of it this way. Are you seeing Zed as the performer of the Super Bowl halftime? No, you're not. Maybe Zed would be out there if Katy Perry was singing, and they brought Zed up to play that song. It's like, so it's no knock on Zed. It's just the atmosphere is not built for DJs. It's not it's more for dancing, party, all that stuff. When a lot of these like halftime musicians and these musicians come in for before or after, the majority of the time people, they use that as like a bathroom break. Like, you need like a band out there or something like that, not a DJ trying to get the crowd to twerk on stage. I don't know. get Gesture out there dancing. That would be great. But again, you know, I have zero problem with Zed. It's gonna be better than, you know, Mr. Another One. Another one. It, you know, it's gonna be better. It's just, it's not. I don't know. It's just not the right atmosphere for a DJ.
Well, it's no county fair headlining band.
No, it's no county. He is not a county fair headliner. He was in Madison here the other day, though, like 4 or 5 days ago. He's coming back in like a month to perform here again. So, and I know he's super big into Overwatch and the Overwatch community. Like, I've seen him fly. I know Iman and him are friends. Like, Iman sent pictures like where Zed's flown him out to Vegas for his shows on a private jet.
Must be nice.
So, yeah. So, like, I know it's a pretty, you know, he was pretty in tune with the Overwatch League, and it's a good choice there. You know, they should bring out T-Pain with them. I don't think they do any songs together, but it would be kind of cool if, like, T-Pain. And who knows, they may even surprise us and bring out some of these people who sing songs with them. Not probably like Katy Perry or Ariana Grande, but some of the smaller ones. Like, I think The Middle, I forgot her name, who he sings The Middle with.
Anytime I hear The Middle, the only thing I can think of is Pitch Perfect. Since it's in that movie, it's one of the mashups.
Oh, yes. Pitch Perfect. That's actually a very good show. Let's see here.
Well, for one, it's a movie.
Whatever. Close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough. I can't find it.
You can't find it! I will Google it on my phone right now and find it immediately.
I'm trying to think of the other person that's in it.
Gray and Maren Morris are the other two featured on it.
Maren Morris, okay. Have her come out. So, they could do that.
Could be.
I'm
still going on Lucio, though.
Oh, yeah, I think he'll come out just as Lucio. What if he gets Will Smith to come out and do Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, since they're in Philly? Or what is the likelihood they play Eye of the Tiger?
Yeah.
Or what's the likelihood of a fan throwing stuff at Santa? Wait, wrong sport. That's only the football fans that do that.
Or just having Danny DeVito coming out as the trash man.
Yeah, they get the whole It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, Zed comes out with Cricket. Rickety Cricket up on stage. They sing Dayman. Get the whole cast out there. Zed remixes Dayman. There we go. That is what needs to happen. Oh,
And then
Lord.
before the event, we'll have Flipadelphia.
Yep. See? You
It's
know
all coming
what?
together.
Not only should they hire us, they should put us in charge of the event planning.
Event management.
Event management. With Totem and Adenar.
God help us if we ever do, like, a meetup.
Oh god, it'd be horrible.
Or the best scene ever.
It's possible. I will say this, so random story time. I was at a wedding this past weekend, and I partook in a few cocktails.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
It was an open bar, and I was not driving.
Okay, so for starters, was that determined whether or not you were going? As if it was open bar.
No, it didn't determine, but it definitely helped. Because I was the +1, so I knew nobody at this wedding.
Oh, that's always fun.
So I didn't know a single person, open bar, and I didn't have to drive. So let's just say there was some Edinar shenanigans going on. I believe there is video that exists of me rapping the entire Jump song by Criss Cross at
You
the
know
top
what?
of my lungs.
You know what? I honestly can say that I'm not surprised by this.
Like, I'll be honest, that is my go-to drunk song. Like, there's a 50-50 chance at BlizzCon I'm belting out Jump by Criss Cross. At some point during BlizzCon.
I'm sure Bob will perform with you.
Oh, see, you know what? That's a win-win right there. But, yep. But I remember the reason I thought of the wedding is Zed played a couple times. That's the correlation.
That's how it connects.
And that's how it connects people.
So it's not just a random.
Also,
story.
you always want Edinar at your wedding. I'm a party person. I get people on the dance floor. It's not always pretty, but it works. Oh god, Kesha's typing out Dayman in chat. It's like,
I feel like
Dayman.
part of that is because they're like, well, if he can do it.
Yeah, like, if that guy can do it, anyone can do it. Also, I get everyone involved. I'll get 6-year-olds to 80-year-olds out on the dance floor.
There you go. Which also happens to be like the age demographic for BlizzCon. You know, you see kids there, there's adults there, got some of the older generation there. It's a mixture of everyone.
Yeah, except I can't do that to Train. If Train's performing, I'm not getting people on the dance floor.
I highly doubt that we'll have a recurrent act for the music festival, assuming they go that route again, which we
Nickelback. They'll get Nickelback. I'll be like, God damn it. I'm out. I'll go play Diablo Immortals on my phone. I'll go sit in the corner and cry. Or Creed. Imagine if they got Creed. Would you gouge your eyes out with a spoon?
Only if it was rusty.
A rusty spoon to gouge out your eyes so you didn't have to listen to Creed. Okay.
Or, you used to jam pencils in your ears.
Funny story. I have gone to the emergency room because of a pencil in my ear.
Yeah?
When I was like 12.
Was this before or after you were listening to Creed?
This was right during the middle. Like, it was Creed and Hoobastank.
Oh, God.
Genre, like, around that time. So you had that plethora of awesomeness. And
That's not the word that comes to mind when I think of Hoobastank, because they
And-
play Hoobastank the reason at work, and it makes me want to leave every time.
so I'm doing homework, or at least pretending to, and I have the pencil rested up against my head, and it was one of those mechanical pencils.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, my hand slipped, pencil straight into the ear.
Nice.
Eraser broke off in my ear. So we had to go to the emergency room and have it removed by the doctors. So, you guys have learned a lot about editing tonight. We're going to get some complaints about this one.
I mean, you know what? Like, there's not as much to talk about tonight since it was kind of a slower week. I will say, like, there are a couple of other things that have been happening in regards to, like, Path to Pro and stuff. Like, earlier today, we did get confirmation that Gator is, in fact, eligible to play in the Gauntlet for ATL Academy. We don't have, like, a reason behind that. We don't know if it's because, like, for the two-player rule-in, if the postseason is excluded from the if you play X number of games, you're ineligible to play for, you know, whatever else. So he'll be in. So, you know, ATL Academy's chances of performing better in regards to the Gauntlet have actually gone up pretty significantly. I am going to have to edit my bracket. But, you know, that event is coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk more about it and talk about the groups and everything when we get closer to the event. But it is worth noting, like, all of that stuff, like, it's double elimination. It's all happening over the course of a weekend. It's going to be a lot of Overwatch that weekend. Plus, you know, we got Rivalcade coming up here. I want to say that's next weekend. And I know there's been more teams being announced for that. I know they've actually invited some teams as well. I know Third Impact was one of those teams, and a couple of other names as well. So it seems like, you know, they're getting a bigger turnout. Maybe we'll see more Tier 3 teams signing up since, you know, the whole open division practice season drama of this week. So I highly suggest if you are on a T3 team to sign up for Rivalcade, because that will be better than putting yourself through a season just to earn a player icon and spray that you probably don't want anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's weird that Gate is allowed to play. Like, it really is. Because we were all under the impression of the rules that they gave us that he would be ineligible to play.
Yeah, like, the problem is it didn't specify what counted towards the rule for games. So, I mean, based off of that, I can only assume that that means that it was just involving the regular season.
Yeah, it could be. Do you think they kind of also use that as a technicality to be like, okay, we can't let all these contenders teams get rid of their good players to the Overwatch League, and we just have crap teams?
Right.
Like, they could have been like, okay, well, this is a gray area. We're going to rule it in your favor so we get better Gauntlet. Mm-hmm. Because I think without Gator, I think it's definitely a...
it's more of an uphill battle for them.
Right? And now they have one of the best Sigma players in the world.
I swear if they just pull a switcheroo and have him switch to main tank and have Hawk playing the Orisa or the Sigma just to confuse people. But, you know, we've only seen Gator on Sigma, and he was one of the... I would say, like, top 3 in the playoffs on the roll, so it would make more sense to just have him on Sigma.
What if Sugar Free played Sigma?
I mean, Sugar Free plays everything.
I think that would be the best case scenario. You know, Sugar Dad could play Sigma. Sigma's an old man, Sugar Dad's an old man. I mean, you don't need any more comparison than that. They go hand in hand.
I mean, is he an old man? Because Sugar Free just ages in reverse.
But that doesn't
like
mean his dad
4.
ages in reverse. The whole family would need to age in reverse, which means that Sugar Dad popped out at like 110 years old.
Well, unless they found like the fountain of youth. Or the Lazarus Pit.
But then they would have. But then if it was the Lazarus Pit, Sugar Dad would be out for blood and
This is
be
also
killing
true,
people.
yeah.
So we'll
He's
go
not at
with the
that point.
Fountain of Youth. Yes. Wow, this is the most off the rails we've ever gotten.
We're just trying to fill time. It's only like 8 o'clock, guys. Like it's early.
Like we just hit hour 1.
Well, we're not gonna make it that far.
Oh yeah, we're not. This is not going to be a 2-hour show tonight. Hate to break it to you people out there.
Especially
Not 2 hours.
Especially when you factor in the amount of 4-0s we saw in the Overwatch League Week 2 of the playoffs. So, looking at what went down this past weekend, we had Week 2. So, we know which 2 teams have advanced to Philadelphia to compete in Flipadelphia. So on Thursday, it was a day of 4-0s. We got 2 matches. We saw the Hangzhou Spark eliminate the Atlanta Reign 4-0. We also saw the San Francisco Shock send the LA Gladiators pack in, also 4-0. Moving into Friday, we had the upper bracket finals, when Vancouver Titans went up against the New York Excelsior, which was easily the hottest contested match of the week. Since it wasn't 4-0, Vancouver Titans ended up taking that one 4-3, which knocked New York down to the lower finals. So Vancouver Titans were the first team to punch their ticket to the grand finals. On Saturday, we saw the Shock continue their run in a lower bracket, and then they 4-0'd the Hangzhou Spark, so Spark were eliminated at that point to set up the Shock versus New York Excelsior in the lower bracket finals on Sunday, and Shock also took that one 4-0. So, the big story here, obviously, the Shock, they had that upset loss in the first round, Rialto shenanery asides, and then they got dropped to the lower bracket, and they 4-0'd everyone. That makes me kind of nervous. I do think, let's say in a situation that New York beat the Titans, I don't think Shock would have 4-0'd Vancouver, just based off of how those 2 teams have played one another every step of the way throughout the entirety of the season. But the Shock's run in the lower bracket was impressive, the most impressive thing that we saw throughout the overall playoffs, and man, what a statement that was after getting upset early. But it's interesting to see, everyone was talking about, how Atlanta Reign were going to be, the dark horse, and then, it ended up being the Spark in the long run here, in regards to that aspect, and then the Spark just come in and they 4-0 the Reign, which was another really big surprise. So it's kind of curious to see how, we had an idea of who we thought would do well, but out of the teams that leveled up that we didn't pick as favorites, Spark were really the team that lasted the longest in that regard.
Yeah, the Spark were the really the lovable losers, or the Cinderellas of the playoffs. Even if they would have probably, the Atlanta Reign could have been, but I think they all. Actually, no, I don't think the Reign could have, because a lot of people were very high on the Atlanta Reign.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it was really only the Spark that could have pulled this off. Because even if the Spitfire continued on, I don't think people would have been that shocked, because people came in pretty high on the Spitfire, especially after what they did to the Shanghai Dragons. So I don't know. The Spark definitely showed that they stepped it up a little. Godsby and Baby really stepped it up, but man, that's the Shock. How they're just no one's gonna take a map off us. You think the New York Excelsior are gonna give us a problem? Yeah, we're gonna 4-0 them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the team we lost to got 4-0'd by the Spark. Oh, we're gonna 4-0 the Spark then. The Shock just kind of took this and was like, no, this is my game. You're in my world now. This is what we're gonna do, and dominated, just dominated. I don't think any team even looked remotely good against them. So it was like we had a bunch of playoff matches this weekend, but all but one of them sucked. Like from a spectator's point of view. I mean, if you have a best of 7 series and you have 5 matches over the weekend, over the whole week, and 4 of them are 4-0s, those are boring matches. You just want stuff to end at that point. Like when they're up 3-0, you're just like, oh god, just finish this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, we did have an amazing match of, Titans versus New York Excelsior. That was a great match. And anyone who thinks that because the Titans and Excelsior went 4-3 and the Shock 4-0'd the Excelsior, that the Shock are better, like if you're using stupid logic, the Shock are better than the Titans because they no, it's
everyone tried to discredit New York after they got forward by the Shock. Basically, is what ended up happening.
They're the 3rd best team in the league
Mm-hmm.
right now in this meta, and that's nothing to be done. This was not a choke. They lost to the Titans, who are the best team in the Overwatch League throughout Season 2. And they lost to the San Francisco Shock, who is the number 2 team in the Overwatch League for Season 2. They just fell right into where they were at. If New York would have beaten either the Titans or the Shock, it would have been considered an upset.
Yeah, unfortunately for New York, Control is a map type. Because they lost both of those 2 rounds to 0 against Vancouver, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Both on Lijiang Tower and Busan. But it's nice, New York actually had the lead going into halftime since they took both Kings Row and Temple of Anubis. But I know even going back to last week, I know you had a lot of questions about New York still, and I was talking about what's it going to take in order for you to change your mind about New York, and you basically outright said it would have to be New York beating Vancouver in order for that to happen. But after this went to 7 maps, and seeing how it played out, knowing that we didn't necessarily get to see the level of New York shenanery with the off-kilter strategies, did that change your perception of that team?
I mean, it changed it a little. What I actually really hope they were doing is would have a 3rd place match, and have New York versus the Spark. Because I want to see how New York truly plays against the top teams in the playoffs. So I would like to see that, but yeah, it changed a little. I mean, you still can't count on New York in the playoffs, and that's not a knock. That's not them choking or anything like that. It's sometimes there's teams that are considered at the top that just can't get that final step, and that's where New York is, and has been.
They at least made a wider step this time. At the end of the day, though, they didn't come out with the win or the ticket to the grand finals. But even making it to the upper bracket finals was a huge step for them. Knowing that they have had a lot of one and done performances in the playoffs, so it actually gives the New York fans a lot more hope. Because I know across the board in regards to community predictions, a lot of people were very bullish on the Excelsior. Knowing, the past storylines, knowing that there was going to be a good chance that they would actually bump into a team like Atlanta, who have had their number. So, across the board, I have to say, I was so happy to see, the Excelsior actually perform. The whole redemption arc, while not fully completed, they got to, the top of the mountain. Unfortunately, they just lost control. That's basically what it boils down to. There were a couple of map types that they just didn't favor in that particular series, and Titans ended up getting the best of them. But Titans, they still look pretty good. They've been pretty much going off on a tizzy at this point. Bumper's probably not going to play at all. So I'm just happy that at the end of the day, the playoffs when we got to the finals, came down to the top 3 teams in the league. The teams that have been at the top of the standings throughout the entirety of the season. And we got to see, the bracket play out basically exactly how you would expect it to at that point with the top seeds. Except, New York losing in the lower final. So, that was the one blemish from the higher seed always advancing, was the Shock beating New York. But that was only because New York were the higher seed due to their division.
Yeah, no, and then, New York should be proud of themselves. They kind of got over the hurdle, I think, or got, the monkey off their backs. In regards to, no, they didn't win it out, but they proved to the world and to the Overwatch League fans and community that they belong in the top 3. Mm-hmm. And they did that, more so against the Titans. Like Cash said in chat, they played the Titans super close and ran into the Shock buzzsaw. They played the Titans super close, so they're coming down on a huge low in losing to the Titans in a super close match. The next day, they play the Shock, who just 4-0'd 2 teams in a row. The momentum is there for the Shock, and they're just taking advantage of it. And everyone talks about Jae-Hong and Toby crying at the end of the match. Nothing is more heartbreaking than SBB holding Flower's hand, giving him words of encouragement. That was the most gut-wrenching scene of the Overwatch season. Mm-hmm. Not Jae-Hong and Toby crying or anything like that. It's that scene right there where he's holding his hand and talking up his team after they just got 4-0'd by the Shock. So I felt bad for New York at that point.
Yeah.
But now we get a great matchup.
We do. And, that was the finals that a lot of people wanted, and that's going to be the finals that we're going to get.
Yeah, it's the one I wanted. Because my 2 favorite matches in Overwatch history have been the Season 1 or Stage 1 championship and the Stage 2 championship. Mm-hmm. Are my 2 favorite series, and it's Titans vs. Shock. So I'm expecting nothing but pure awesomeness to happen for this. So I'm going to be plopping down on the couch. I'm going to treat this like, a Super Bowl. I'm going to get some snacks, get some drinks, get all comfortable, and just sit there and watch. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see if the Titans can get a little bit of redemption since, they lost to the Shock the last time they faced off, and that was Stage 4. That was one of the last games that they had.
Now, all right, I will say this, because I think next week is when we're going to really go down, deep dive into the championship game.
Right.
But let me just ask you this one question. If the Titans lose to the Shock, is it a disappointing season?
I don't think so.
Because they would have proved just as little as New York did in Season 1.
Well, I will say, the thing that I like about this is, at least for the season series, this is the rubber match between the 2 teams, because they're 2-2 against one another at this point. I think at the end of the day, obviously, going into the Overwatch League, there was always that meme of, is Runaway OWL ready? And that was everywhere. A lot of people were questioning it. A lot of people were worried that we would have another Lunatic High situation on our hands, or something like the LW curse. Because for the longest time, even dating back to Apex, Runaway had always been one of those teams who failed to capture their moment in the biggest game. Which eventually, they did win, and yes, that did kind of happen after some of the other teams had moved on at that point to sign on with the Overwatch League. But they got their moment, so it's not like they didn't have it escape them, throughout their entirety of the career, like it was for LW. So to me, like they had already surpassed where those other teams were at that point, at least in New York situation. So I don't think it would be a disappointment. I feel like in their eyes it would be, just because, they came in with a lot of swagger. Obviously, Bumper early on, just like, yeah, we're gonna 4-0 everyone. Turns out the Shock were the ones that did that, at least in the lower bracket.
Can we just start calling Bumper Fissure 2.0? Like, dominant main tank, carries his team throughout. They get to the playoffs, benched.
Should happen.
The similarities
It's pretty,
are
pretty
there.
interesting. Part of that just revolves around the current playstyle of the meta, But hey, at least Hissy didn't pull an remix like he did for the Gladiators in that situation. So it's a complete opposite way of the storytelling in this regard between the Gladiators and the Titans in this case, when there was a swap.
All right, I'll give you that. I will give you that.
So in my mind, I wouldn't put it as a disappointment, but I know for them as a team, anything except a championship win would be a letdown.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for
anyone that would
teams.
be in the finals. Yeah.
Yeah, well, even the New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, coming into this past weekend, anything but winning the championship was a disappointment. So, but yeah, no, it should be fun. But we'll deep dive into the championship next week.
It's sad we only have one more series.
Right? But we also have a lot of other stuff that's going to be coming up in esports. Like you said, we have the Gauntlet, we have the World Cup, and then we have the off season to talk about, and signings and all that stuff.
It's primarily just the fact that it's kind of spread out, So like the Gauntlet, I know it's like October 8th through the 12th. The Grand Finals, as we mentioned, is on September 29th. World Cup is BlizzCon. We don't have like the group stages and things like that. It all takes place BlizzCon week. And then, there's a huge gap after that at that point.
Yeah. Well, even after BlizzCon, that's when you start running into holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So, good timing. We'll be missing stuff randomly here and there, so on and so forth. So, yeah, it sucks, but I think they have it timed out right as far as like when to take breaks. Because like you end the Overwatch season, a month later you have BlizzCon, a month later you have like Christmas, and then that whole time you have the off season, and then you basically just have January where it's like the true full like month of nothing really going on.
Right.
So really you have like a month and a half of true downtime where it's probably going to be super noticeable.
I'm just quickly taking a look at the Rivalcade entrance to see if there's any notable names. Seems like there's a lot of like academy teams for some of the tier 2 teams. But I'm going to be curious to see like who all is invited for like the main bracket as opposed to, just teams that are advancing.
Yeah, and what is the prize pool for that again?
Well, the qualifiers in itself are $500. The main rumble is $5,000. So it looks like for the qualifiers, they're doing top 3. So the breakdown is 30 for top, 150 for second, and 50 for third. And then you'll let the main bracket at that point.
Okay.
But that's probably something that we'll cover, since
at least
probably not going to be too much other else going on this weekend at least. So
yeah, very true.
So it gives us something to do. So outside of that, guys, just as a reminder in general for our network, with Overwatch League coming to an end, now we did bid adieu to OWL by the numbers for the season. So I know I edited that episode earlier today. That should be on the podcatchers by the time you're listening to this, whether it's live or the audio version at this point. Because I know I did edit that kind of late since I was up way too late with last night's double feature. But with that being said, and I think it's time we close out for tonight. Since, we'll save our deep dive for the grand finals for next week. I kind of go over the history between the Shock and the Titans. Maybe reflect on their past matches. But we're expecting fireworks as always because these two teams do not really give on either side. There's gonna be a lot of trading back and forth, and I cannot wait. And no matter what the outcome is, I'm not gonna be disappointed. These were the two best teams throughout the entirety of the season, and there's no better way to cap off the 2019 Overwatch League.
Yeah, no, this is the championship I think everyone deserves. So couldn't have asked for a better championship game.
And I just hope it goes the distance, just like all the other ones, which it probably will. The track record.
I hope it's not a
itself.
4-0 or anything like that. That
would be demoralizing for sure. But anyways, guys, if you would like to help us out, the best thing to do is to go leave us a review over on iTunes. We're always looking for ways to improve the show, so let us know how we're doing, what you'd like to see added, changed around, whatever. We do have Overwatch Recall, which is our Overwatch podcast directory. So you can find a listing of the Overwatch League, Path to Pro podcast over on our website at owlnshow.com/OWRecall. And then every Sunday and occasionally on Monday, we do the Weekly Recall, which is a listing of all of the prior week's episodes released from all of the Overwatch podcasts out there. So to get the latest on that, you can check weekly on our Discord, or follow Overwatch Recall on Twitter at OWRecall. I'll probably start pumping out a lot more interviews since, OWL by the Numbers is wrapping up, so that'll give me more time to focus on that aspect. We do also have a number of ways to support our network. So it is September, which on Twitch is also September, so you get a discount on your monthly subs. And, if you have Twitch Prime, you could sub for free. Greatly appreciate that. You could sub, the normal way as well by paying, $4.99 a month or whatever it is. We also do have a Patreon page. So, we've tiers starting at just $1 a month, and it goes, I think, up to, 10? I think 10's the highest one. But more info can be found on our Patreon page at patreon.com/OWL Network. So you too can join the likes of our Master and Above patrons, Blazing Bob, Brendan, Jay-Z, Owl, and Kesha in helping our network grow. Only a matter of time before we get Zed, locked in as a Patreon. We're gonna just keep going through the musical acts.
That's gonna happen.
Then he can fly us out to his concerts in Vegas on the private.
Exactly. We're one step below that.
You're already there enough as is, so, he might as well throw you a bone at some point.
This is true.
So, of course, there's a number of ways to support us, so go check those places out, but you also have a number of ways how you can get a hold of our hosts as well as our network. So, Ed, why don't you go ahead and let them know how they can do that?
All right, so you can reach us through email at hndoverwatch@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, and that's at hndoverwatch. We do have a website where we have all of this stuff, and that's at owlnshow.com. Post all our videos, articles, any of our podcasts, all will be there. We do have a YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We are on Discord, so come over there, join us at discord.me/OWLshow and chit chat with us. Like Tom said, we are on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLshow. We're our Twitch affiliate, so come over there for your September and through your Amazon Prime towards us. We do stream pretty regularly. So we have Overwatch League Network, which airs Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. We had OWL by the Numbers Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, but no mas till 2020. And then we have this show, Heroes Never Die, which airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then host streams, when available, run on a flex schedule, so be sure to follow us to be notified when we go live. As Totem had said, we do have our Patreon at patreon.com/OWL Network, so come over there if you want to help out the show even further. And then you can contact me personally on Twitter, and that's at Edinar Overwatch. Totem, where can they find you at?
Well, I'm also on Twitter at TunnellyDrunkCTR. And just as an update, guys, we are recording Overwatch League Network tomorrow night this week, since we had some scheduling issues on Monday. So if you're listening to the audio version, that will be on Thursday this week at 7 p.m. Pacific time for the live show. So we'll have, no post-stream tomorrow, because obviously we'll be recording OWL Network, where I'll try to have other things to say other than just shock 4-0 and everyone, but it's kind of hard when that's all they seem to be doing.
That's true. They excel at the 4-0s.
They do. It just hasn't happened to the top team.
When's the last time we didn't have a 2-hour show?
I will get back to you on that, because
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But part of that was also the fact that we didn't really have esports news this week.
Yeah, that's true.
But we will very soon, since, we got the Grand Finals coming up, and then all the contract talks and extensions and LFTs, all of that stuff coming up around that time. So that's definitely going to ramp up here in the upcoming weeks. But with that being said, guys, I do want to thank you again for joining us tonight for another episode of Heroes Never Die. This has been episode number 178. I've been your host, Tunnelly Drunk, joined, as always, by my co-host, Edinar, and we'll see you guys back tomorrow night for a special Thursday edition of Overwatch League Network. Take care, and we'll see you then.
Have a good one.